October 13th, 1307. You're yanked from sleep by steel-gloved hands, accused of worshipping a severed head named Baphomet. They rip away your white mantle, the red cross you wore into battle, and haul you through gutter water toward a tower that reeks of wet straw and fear. Inside, pulleys creak, ropes groan, and somewhere a monk drones Latin prayers that no one answers. In the breath between your shoulders, dislocating, and the first scream you can't hold back, one truth brands itself across your mind. Whatever you admit in this pit will survive longer than any Templar fortress. Welcome to the words that dismantled a 200-year-old order of warrior monks and seeded 7 centuries of conspiracy. Erase the order. Popular legend says the Templars fell because a grasping French king coveted their gold, but hidden in Vatican vaults, in chancery basements, in brittle bundles bound by spider silk, lies a darker engine, confessions chiselled from flesh, snarled, sobbed or whispered, then notarized line by line. Tongues seized by pain became quills drenched in blood. Tonight, we unseal 6 confession chambers: the rack room, the candle cell, the bridge, the braziers, the papal court, and the pyre. In each, we hear exactly what the knights said: the forbidden kisses, the midnight idols, the spittle on the crucifix, the pact with a bearded head that promised crops and coin. And when the iron bites deepest, truth and hallucination fuse like solder, indistinguishable, irretractable, eternal. The Night of Knives. Just before dawn, 2,000 royal warrants sweep every Templar house in France. Black-cloaked sergeants in Philip IV's livery slam rosaries against helmets, shouting that the cross-bearers are now enemies of the faith. At the Paris Commandery, Grand Master Jacques de Molay, fresh from praying for the dead queen's soul, surrenders peacefully, sure that the Pope he helped crown will defend him. Instead, he's marched to the Tour de l'Argent along the Seine, chained beside novices whose voices crack when they recite the Psalms. Within hours, university theologians draft the accusations: idolatry, heresy, spitting on Christ. Ritual kisses on the base of the spine and the navel, worship of a feline demon. But the vilest charge, the one Philip will trumpet to every throne in Europe, still lurks unspoken, waiting for a scribe and a scream. The instruments of belief. Medieval canon law permits torture only as a gentle test. Philip's interrogators translate gentle into a lexicon of fracture. The strappado, hoist by wrists behind the back, then dropped just short of dislocation. So ligaments shred, but bones remain usable for more questions. The boot, staves wedged between shin and plank, hammered until tibias crack like dry sticks. Each splinter counts as an admission. The water cure, a funnel rammed into jaws, foul river water poured until the stomach bloats, stomp the belly, force the torrent back out, demand the name of the devil they serve. Fire play, slow roasting of souls with candle wicks. Flame low enough to blister, never high enough to cauterize. Near every device stands a notary, ink pot open, quill poised, because agony is useless without paperwork. But the confession that detonates Christendom isn't about spit or secret embraces. In 60 seconds, we'll open the Paris transcript, naming the talking head the Templars adored, its stench, its eyes, its promise of invincible riches. Miss it, and let the victors keep their version. His name was Baphomet. Interrogator:
Describe the idol.
Knight Hughes de Perot, ankles crushed in the boot, rasps:
A head of brass, 2 faces, beard plaited. When we bowed, it nodded, and the orchards bore fruit.
Brother Guillaume de Lafayette, dangling from the strappado, adds through vomit.
Its breath smelled of myrrh and musk. It whispered that the order would own both land and sea if we served in silence.
10 more knights, tortured in separate cells, echo the motif, a black-bearded visage, sometimes with gemstones for eyes, sometimes a woman's mummified skull. One swears the head belonged to John the Baptist, stolen in the East. Another calls it Mahomet, twisting the Crusader slur for Muhammad. A third claims the eyes glowed red only when coins rang in the offertory. The notaries merge these fragments into one sentence, one name. Baphomet, truth, epidemic hallucination, palace script. No one present can tell, yet every future historian must grapple with the ink those quills lay down. Kissing the cross, backwards. 7 brothers from Poitiers recount the same Baroque choreography. New initiate stripped to shirt, led into a chapel lit by a single crimson lantern. The marshal shows a crucifix, then flips it upside down. Novice ordered to spit thrice on Christ's face, renounce the Nazarene, swear loyalty to the order alone. A sequence of kisses ensues. First the mouth to seal silence, next the navel to surrender desire, finally the tail, a euphemism for buttocks, so that shame itself submits. Why such scandalous reversals? Interrogators prod. Broken-toothed Amory de Villiers mutters,
"Because our enemy demanded it, and conquering the enemy means conquering shame."
Some scholars, safe in later centuries, spot faint Gnostic echoes. Body as prison, spirit as key. Yet in 1307, nuance feeds bonfires. Every spit-flecked detail becomes tinder for heresy's pyre. The Pope's secret scroll. Pope Clement V, cornered between his French patron and his own conscience, convenes a private panel at Chinon Castle. 5 senior Templars, among them de Molay himself, appear unshackled, no irons, no flame, only the gaze of cardinals. Freed from the rack, they admit a lesser sin.
Yes, in fear of Saracen spies, we sometimes denied Christ. Yes, we spat on a cross to test obedience. But never did we adore Baphomet, never defile the host, never traffic with demons.
Clement issues absolution, notes it on parchment, signs with the fisherman's ring, then buries the scroll in the papal archive. For 7 centuries, the document sleeps unknown, until a Vatican librarian rediscovers it in 2001. Why hide repentance? Because outside Chinon, Philip's treasury is barren, and public spectacle promises silver. The king wants flames, not forgiveness. The Pope chooses silence over schism. Thus, the war for narrative tightens. Parchment versus pyre. Trial by flame. March 18th, 1314, Ile de la Cité. Paris gathers like a single shivering animal along the Seine. Grand Master Jacques de Molay and Preceptor Geoffroy de Charnay mount a wooden scaffold. The parchment of their latest confession flutters in an official's hand, ink barely dry. But before the herald can read, de Molay shouts across the river wind,
We are innocent. God knows our innocence and will judge those who condemn us falsely.
A gasp ripples through the crowd. Royal guards trade panicked looks. Public recantation equals perjury against the crown. Executioners shove torches into straw. Flames climb white robes, ignite red crosses, curl iron chains. Smoke rises like a black column prayer the church cannot sanction. Within months, Philip IV dies of a stroke during a hunt. Clement V succumbs to illness. 2 royal heirs fall in rapid sequence. Chroniclers dub it the Templar curse. But in the archive of unwritten order, we see a simpler alchemy. Rumour distilled into prophecy. Prophecy hammered into history. Paper skeletons. Modern forensic linguists sift the confessions like crime scene ash. Identical phrasing, I spat thrice, I kissed on the tail, appears in testimonies gathered hundreds of miles apart, hinting at scripted prompts. Knights who recanted under a physician's care reconfess word for word upon return to the dungeon. Evidence of memorized declarations, not memory. Charges evolve by region. In Aragon, the idol is a painted cat. In Normandy, a silver skull. In England, the interrogators find nothing supernatural and quietly release their prisoners. Strip away coerced lines and one pattern endures. The Templars controlled credit. Kings owed them fortunes. Erase the order, and every ledger resets to zero. Heresy becomes the medieval world's most efficient debt cancellation device. Echoes in iron. Pain writes quickly, ink dries forever. The confessions carved in these vaults outlived every captor, every king, every pope, and fertilized every tale of hidden gold, holy grails, secret bloodlines, and shadow governments. Believe them, dismiss them. Either way, remember who turned the winch while the quills scratched, and ask, if truth requires torture, what story cannot be forged? Join the archive. Feel the rope bite your wrists, hear bone grind. Do you spit on the cross or name a demon you never met? Tell us below. Unlock more forbidden orders with why being a medieval assassin was worse than death. Only here, in the Vault of Unwritten Order.